guys, welcome back to my channel. I love having you back here. If you're new, hi, I'm Stephanie and I make videos on the topic of language learning. I give tips and tricks on how to do that in an efficient and fun manner, having learned 8 languages at this point myself and learning a couple of others. So let's dive right into today's topic, which is actually comes from one of you guys. You asked me, like, how can we make input more comprehensible? And I think that is a wonderful question. You know how big I am on comprehensible input. Just real quick, if you're not familiar with the concept, comprehensible input is all about understanding messages, using messages that are comprehensible, obviously hence the name comprehensible input, that you can understand, that are interesting, engaging. The more you progress, the more interesting it gets because you can read more complex stories. But the idea is right from the beginning to be able to use input that you understand and that is made understandable in some way through context clues that you get. So it is a wonderful question, how can we do that? How can we make it more comprehensible? And I made a whole video actually on what comprehensible input is and why it's great. So I'm gonna link it here, pop it on the screen, so you can go ahead and watch that if you're interested in knowing more about, why it's the best way to learn languages in my opinion. And this is also going to help you understand why I believe in LingQ so much. And I am actually going to be using LingQ to demonstrate in this video, how to make input more comprehensible, because there's just there's several principles in that, but then there's a lot of ways to make that work within LingQ to help with making input more comprehensible and to, make sure that you're studying a language in a way that's going to make it, first of all, usable, as opposed to just studying like lists of words. No, with LingQ, it's going to be usable and it's going to be possible. And by the way, this video is sponsored by LingQ, which is my first sponsored video on this channel. And I truly believe in their product. Since my first video, if you go back, my channel is almost a year old at this point, and I have talked about LingQ 1,000 times. So it is great to finally be able to work with them. For me, it is an honor, truly, because I'm a fan of Steve's, obviously, but then also I have been a huge fan of LingQ for a while, and I do think that it is important to promote, services and products that you are a fan of. I had a couple of other companies actually reach out with sponsorship deals, and I turned them down because I did not believe in their products. And I was the one to reach out to LingQ because I truly, truly believe in their products. So without further ado, let me show you how to make it more comprehensible. First of all, I think it's really important to make sure that whenever you're trying to get comprehensible input, make sure you understand things. It's very important to be within your Goldilocks zone. I think that's a huge deal. I think it's very important for you to be in a zone that's it's not too complex, but it's not too easy either. When it's too easy, you're not really learning that much. You're not really advancing as much as you would ideally be. And then when input is just too complicated, no matter what you do to make it more comprehensible, it's just going to be difficult. You cannot be starting the basics of a language and try to read poetry. So make sure you find that Goldilocks zone, not too difficult, not too easy, and experiment. You're going to see where you feel good to learn. It's also good to engage multiple senses. For example, if you're watching a movie, perhaps have subtitles in the beginning, Yeah, it's a thorny topic. It warrants a whole new video, but at the end of the day, when we actually have subtitles, we can make input more comprehensible, and that could be good in the beginning. Or for example, if you're reading a book, perhaps also listen to the audio. If you have a podcast, maybe also get the transcript. Just engage as many senses as possible, and LingQ really makes that possible because it actually lets you learn from content you love, and it has all types of contents, articles, podcasts, books, and YouTube videos, Netflix, whatever you want. And that way it's actually, on the one hand, it gives you compelling input, but then on the other hand, it does exactly that. It helps make input more comprehensible because you're actually engaging multiple senses at the same time. So when you go into its page, you can see that it's been recently redesigned. It looks really great right now, and its content library does. And you can see right at the top there's these sliders for different levels that you can use. One of the first things is it actually shows you how to use LingQ within your target language, which I think it's amazing. It's going to tell you how to choose a lesson, it's going to introduce certain features to you, and that is absolutely wonderful in my opinion. But besides that, it has thousands of hours of content that you can use to learn your target language. And the way that it works is you create what is called links, or unknown words that you can then review again and again. And as you can see, there's actually also guided courses. They depend on the different levels that you have. And this is what's actually so great about it. As I was saying, you know, the Goldilocks zone, make sure you're choosing something to according to your level, and LingQ really helps you do that with guided courses, with like content that is level specific. You know, there's also Steve's book on the website, which I find absolutely amazing because, you know, as LingQ was co-founded by Steve, of course, a lot of the philosophy behind LingQ is based on Steve's language learning philosophy, and I think that's great. And I think it's also awesome that there's the ability to read and listen to his book within LingQ itself. So it's really great that you can choose your level, but then there's also the famous LingQ mini stories, which Steve himself has mentioned many times that he also uses, and I think they're great for getting started in a language. For example, if you're like, I'm a beginner, where do I find comprehensible input that is good and interesting? LingQ mini stories. And there's also some trending content and some more specific content, like things that have been imported from Netflix, which you can also do by yourself, and I'll show you later on how. News feeds, you know, just new additions to LingQ, different content, as you can see, you know, anything ranging from podcasts to news to books to Netflix, just a plethora of information that you can use to get fluent in whatever your target language may be. I chose French here because, as you know, I am improving my French this year. I was mentioning this in my 2023 goals, and French is a big goal for me currently to improve it. So I'm going to be using intermediate and advanced content in LingQ in order to boost my French and take it to the next level. And I'm going to see how that goes. And I'm going to be able to do that with a lot of the stuff that I actually care about. You know, I'm a huge believer in studying with passion and, you know, only using content that you actually find interesting. And as you can see through LingQ's library, that is not difficult at all. Let's take this example actually of, you know, you can listen to whatever you're interested in. So I see this article or this podcast about white chocolate, and I'm like, that sounds something interesting. That sounds like something that I would like to actually learn about. So let me go ahead and play that. And this is what you can do. You know, once you choose something like that, you can see the text, everything in blue. It's like new words. If you click on one of those words, such as I clicked on the word pourquoi, for example, in this case, it actually becomes yellow. It turns into a link, which you can then, you know, choose, which you can then review. And so you can also read and listen. The thing about engaging two senses I was talking about earlier, that is super helpful to make input more comprehensible. You're not just listening to a podcast, but you're actually also reading it at the same time. Take a look.
Pourquoi le chocolat blanc est-il blanc? Le chocolat blanc est un produit qui fut créé par Nestlé en Suisse dans les années 1930. La raison de sa création nous informe d'ailleurs sur ce qui explique sa couleur. En effet, si Nestlé a mis au point ce chocolat, c'est pour utiliser les surplus de beurre de cacao.
Yeah, as you can see, if you click next, then it's going to be like, wait, do you know all these words? You can click that you know them, or if not, you can convert them into links, as I showed with the word pourquoi. You can see on the right hand side that it is there, and it is like at level 1. It can be at a higher level if you kind of know this word but not quite. So that is really useful, how you can, a link can graduate from level 1 to level 2, 3, etc. until it becomes a known word, and then it's counted in your known words. And then, but if it's still linked, you can keep repeating it, practicing, etc., reviewing it, which I think is perfectly amazing. And again, you can say you know these words. If you don't want that to appear, you can also click, you know, make sure that doesn't appear as a message again. And then when you complete the lesson, you're going to get this congratulatory message with some stats. And that is really a good feature of LingQ, that you can actually track your stats, which I know that it depends on personality type, whether you're into that or not, but for many, many of us, it can be very motivational. Now let me show you also how you can import content from LingQ. What I'm going to do is I'm going to import Lupin, which is a famous French series on Netflix, and I'm going to import an episode into LingQ and show you how you can do that. So you get the LingQ extension on your browser, and then it is very easy. All you have to do is click, go ahead and do import. You can import it to default or create a course. Right now I'm not going to think of a course name to like create for this TV show, so I'm just going to import it to default. And then I'm going to go ahead and click import, and once that's imported, you're going to wait a couple of seconds, then you're going to click open lesson, and you can go ahead and use it right away. And so, you know, that really makes Netflix shows, for example, more comprehensible, because then you can actually study the script of that show. You can listen to it as you go, as you see. If I click on any of those words, you know, it's gonna...
Suspense. Bonjour.
You can click on the words, hear the audio that turns them automatically into, yellow words, into links, which you can review later. Actually, I didn't know that word, the minimum salary. That is actually an interesting one. So yeah, I just learned a word while doing this video, which is actually great. And then I can use it and review it later as a link until I make sure that I know the word. You can also import a YouTube video with link, which you can go to the section that's import, and then you click on video and you enter the URL. Alternatively, you can do the exact same thing as with Netflix by using the extension, but here I went ahead and did it that way. And so once you've imported this video, I imported the one about wine from a French channel that I like. I think it's an interesting topic, it's interesting input, so I can import videos on topics I care about. In this case, when I'm learning French, what better thing to learn about than wine, cuisine, etc. It's something that I really like to do. So I imported this video on the topic of wine into Link. You wait a few minutes for it to download the audio of the YouTube video, and then you can go ahead and actually, read the script of the YouTube video. I don't know how it pulls that, because this YouTube video had no official formal closed captions or subtitles or anything like that, but Link generated that for me. So that right away makes it much easier to understand and much more comprehensible. And I'm able to read that, the script of the video, and then I'm also able to, as I said, you wait a few minutes and you have the downloaded audio and you can read and listen at the same time, and in that way understand much better.
Bienvenue les vinolovers pour cette nouvelle vidéo. Aujourd'hui, on va parler du vignoble et des vins de la vallée de la Loire.
Yeah, on an interesting topic that I actually care about. You might care about a different topic, so of course you do download a video on a different topic, etc. It depends what tickles your fancy, Just pick the video you want and you can turn it into a lesson with Link. Then I also, for example, went ahead to an article from Le Parisien, as you can see, about fast foods versus traditional restaurants. It's just a news article, but I was like, okay, let me import that into Link. Link has their own news articles, but what if it's one I want, So I go and I import, and then it also can generate actually audio as well. So in that case, you just go ahead, generate the audio, and bam. A few seconds later, you have it.
Fast food ou restaurants traditionnels? Découvrez quelles enseignes dominent dans votre ville.
Yeah, so whenever you're reading something and you want to make it a bit more comprehensible, you want to also engage your listening sense so that you can practice, etc. Well, then, you can go ahead and generate audio. Then, as I mentioned, Link also keeps track of all of your statistics. So right now, there's not that many. I just started using Link for French. But as you can see, it already keeps track for me, and I hate keeping track of statistics. I absolutely hate it. I've tried it in the past. I've talked about it on my channel before. I despise it. So I really like that Link does that for me, because then that's motivational. And it's motivational and you can use that without going through the labor of keeping track yourself, which I find so annoying. There's also challenges you can sign up for if that motivates you, which I think can be great for many people, especially more competitive personality types. Many different challenges that you can see on the screen, and in addition to that, you also have access to the forum, to writing exchange where you can, other users can correct your writing, etc. Tutors can correct your writing. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity. Then you also have the opportunity to contribute to the Link community. And yeah, I think it's a wonderful thing you can do. Now with Link, you can save a lot of those individual words, but I think it's even better when you save phrases, because then you can actually do this chunking by phrases and learn language that way. I think it's absolutely a great way. I've spoken about it in other videos. It's a great way to learn a language. So what if you want to save a whole phrase? Let's take this example, which is about eating out at a restaurant, right? That is a topic in which you might want to have some phrases ready up your sleeve for your next trip to France or something. So you can go ahead and save common phrases you might need. For example,
avez-vous pris votre décision?
Right, have you made up your mind? And then you can save the translation that you think is the best, and then that's going to go ahead and transfer to your links, and then you can later practice it. You can review it using Link's space repetition system, and you can do chunking in this way. So Link is not just about using words, it's about seeing them in context, and then you can actually practice them, and then you can actually practice phrases, which are actually, I think, a great way to go ahead and make sure that you've solidified your knowledge. And although I just showed you how to use Link on the desktop version, it's also available on mobile, on tablets, so you can just take it with you wherever you are. And as you can see, it is a good tool to make input be more comprehensible, but also to find actually compelling input. And the importance of that is not to be underestimated, because compelling input is input that's going to help you learn faster. Now, if you're interested to try out Link, I actually have a discount code for you, my viewers. You can, if you subscribe for an annual plan, you can actually get 35% off your premium plan using my code. So if you're interested, I'll put the link in the description, and then you can save 35% that way. I would highly recommend Link. You know, I just showed you how I'm going to use it for French. I've used it actually for other languages before, and I think it's really fun. And I also think that it has a lot of impact in terms of, you know, learning through actual content that you love, as opposed to learning through drills and stuff like that. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you've used Link before, and let me know if you have any questions on how to make input more comprehensible, if that demonstration made sense for you, or if there's perhaps some questions that are still left in your mind. I'd be happy to answer. And I'll see you here next week. Until then, have a wonderful time, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.